Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Recovery After Stroke podcast. Before we jump into the interview, I want to take a moment to share some exciting updates and thank you for being a part of this growing community. Book sales have grown from 25 sales in December to 49 units sold in February, and it has been such a joy hearing from those of you who have emailed or commented to say how much the book has helped or that you're halfway through it and already feel inspired. I love hearing how it's resonating. The audio podcast downloads are holding steady at around 5,000 downloads per month. That's across the whole back catalog of episodes. And over on YouTube, the channel has just hit nearly 40,000 views across the entire channel in March, which is up 41% from February. We also welcomed 368 new subscribers. So if you're new, welcome. Also, a big thank you for the beautiful response to the recent vlogs that I've done, especially the one I posted on post-traumatic growth. It clearly struck a chord, and I'll definitely be exploring more topics like that in future videos. And just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the show, one of the easiest way to support it is by listening through the ads. It really does help keep the podcast going. If you haven't already, you can pick up a copy of my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened, at Amazon by typing my name into the Amazon search bar. Also at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. Now, today's episode, I'm joined by Doug Mitchell, a stroke survivor who brings warmth, wisdom, and honesty to the conversation. Doug opens up about the emotional and mental journey of recovery and what it's been like learning to live differently after stroke. He also shares a powerful analogy that beautifully captures the process of becoming someone new. Let's dive in. Doug Mitchell, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Tell me a little bit about what happened to you.
All right. So we're going to go on almost 5 years now. So March 4th of 2020, I thought that I was having a heart attack, actually. And I came home from where I set out to go to work and I was driving and I kind of just felt weird that day. So I turned around halfway there and came home. And my wife was working off or at her business, so she wasn't gone yet in the morning when I came back. And I called her and talked to her, and then I said she left, and so after she left, I went to the hospital. So I didn't really expand on what was going on. So I went to the hospital, and when I got there, they did some tests and that, and they said they came back and they actually did a CAT scan and stuff. So they came back and they said, "Well, I got some good news and some bad news for you." I go, "Okay." He goes, "What do you want to hear first?" I said, "It doesn't matter. You just tell me what's going on." He said, "Well, I'll tell you right now, you haven't had a heart attack, but since your last MRI in June of last year, you've had 3 strokes." I said, "Okay, all right." So, all right. So that kind of gave when my wife found out and all this stuff when she was being told, that kind of gave her some relief of why I've changed and why my mood changed and different aspects of me changed. And she could never figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out because I never saw it. I never saw the changes. So after I think about a year, I went in and for a bubble test on my heart, and to find out I had a hole in my heart. That's what allowed the clots to get into my brain. So I had 3 clots in my brain that messed up 3 parts of my brain. So what happened is 90% of my deficits are cognitive. So I consider that an invisible stroke. So I have an invisible stroke. And so being 90% cognitive and 10% of it is my dominant left hand fine motor skills. Now, I didn't find out about that until 2 years into my recovery because I got into a writing course that was put on by a stroke survivor in British Columbia. And she started this writing course, and it's June Hawkins, and it's with the stroke of my pen. And she started this writing course. So what she does in this writing course is she gives us a a certain thing to do, like a certain thing to write about every week. So, and it only needs to be like 3 paragraphs or so. So the one that I wrote wrote my story on was the phrase that she gave us was, "How did I get here?" So I wrote that. I wrote a story, and that about empowering 2.0, and I'll tell you a little bit how that goes, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So during my journey and going through all these, I'll call myself a Zoom junkie. I go to all kinds of support groups through the March of Dimes and different organizations from BC and all over Canada, and going through these courses, or not courses, but talkings and conversations. I always kept hearing in the first couple of years is you got to find your new me. I'm going, you got to find your new me. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I could never figure out, what do you mean the new me? I couldn't figure it out. Come to find out, and thinking about that, is that I was in denial for the first 2 years. I was in denial that I never had a stroke. I was in denial that I'm 57 years old. I didn't have a stroke. All this, nothing's wrong with me. I look fine. My brain was always a stroke survivor. Had physical issues with walking or arms or whatever, or talking. And so what happened is that in this writing course with June, when I wrote this empowering, embracing 2.0, I really started thinking, okay, so, and I'll go through it just real quick, and then maybe you might be able to put it in the on the chat in your broadcast about where that is, and they can find it on my YouTube page.
Yeah.
But imagine yourself before your stroke, and this is a piece of paper. So look how pristine this piece of paper is. It's flat, it's white. There's no crinkles, no nothing in it. You're perfect. You're who you were, who you are before stroke. So everything's going cool. Like, you're having a good time. Your life's going great. Everything's fine. And then take that piece of paper and then crumple it up. Crumple it up into a ball. Crumple it up tight as you can, whatever. Just take that piece of paper and crumple it up. This right now is your journey. Is your journey to a crumpled reality of 2.0. So this is a crumpled reality of 2.0. So now take this piece of paper and try to unfold it and fold it so it's flat. Try to unfold it so it's flat. Try to get it as flat as you can. You can't get it flat. Why can't I get this flat? Feel the highs and the lows and everything in this, and the lines and all that, and realize to yourself and find out that you're never going to go back to, I'll just say my name, Doug 1.0. I'm never going to get back to Doug 1.0. I've had 3 sections of my brain that have been affected through the strokes, and I never can get back to this pristine piece of paper. I'll never get back to this pristine. So I had to realize that, okay, I'm in denial still. Now I'm starting to talk myself out of it now, and I'm saying, okay, so I have to now brace myself as Doug 2.0. So this is Doug 2.0, all wrinkled and all kinds of cracks and everything. So I got to figure out life now, and figuring out life actually wasn't that bad because I was involved, like I say, in so many different conversation groups and things from March of Dimes. Um, there were some other things that, like Elisa Barker from Vancouver, British Columbia. She had a conversation group on Tuesdays, and then she had a talk group on Thursdays. And that was people from all over Canada that it was involved in that. And she was very instrumental in my recovery and getting with stroke survivors and learning about what can be done out there. And so you just have to, I don't know. It's just that 1.0, 2.0 really brought it home to me. And it doesn't, and I don't want to be negative, and it doesn't, I don't want to sound negative. Some people might think it is, but when I say you're not going to get back to 1.0, that doesn't mean you can't progress.
Let's pause here. Before we continue with Doug's powerful story, I want to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters. Your generosity helps ensure that this podcast remains free and accessible for stroke survivors around the world. If you'd like to support the show and become part of the Recovery After Stroke community, you can learn more at patreon.com/recoveryafterstroke. Now, let's get back to Doug and his honest reflections on adapting to executive function loss and embracing life as Doug 2.0.
You can progress as much as you want from 2.0. You can keep going and going and going. You're a new person now. You're a new you. And that could be with your wife having mood changes and different things like that that I don't see. I had mood changes and I couldn't see them. But my wife could see them. And like I said, when I went to the hospital and after we got home and she said, about the mood changes and noticing them before I went into the hospital and stuff, I actually had to, in recovery, I had to actually get into, my doctor even suggested to possibly going on some antidepressants.
Uh-huh.
And I said, no, I don't need any antidepressants. He goes, well, a lot of stroke survivors do need antidepressants because they do get down and stuff. So he wanted to try it. So I tried a couple different, I'm going to call them cocktails. And we got to the third cocktail, and it's the one that's been working for me now. So I feel good about that.
So did they fix the hole in the heart?
Yeah, yes, I had my PFO fixed. It's I call it. They put a drywall screw in the hole in my heart. But yeah, they just go up through the groin and stick a device through there, and it balloons out on both sides, and then your heart heals around it.
Yeah, interesting. You went from being quote unquote normal and perfectly fine and healthy to being diagnosed with 3 strokes, a hole in the heart, and needing surgery.
Yeah,
And it's pretty full on if you've gone unscathed to so to speak for 57 years, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden you're dealing with all these things. It could be a lot to handle, and it
yeah,
makes
for sure.
complete sense that you're you, but you're a new you, a you that's got some scars that you're carrying with you now that you weren't carrying with you before, and
Yeah,
those scars change the way that you work. They change the way that things move and operate and your flow and all sorts of things, and you've got to come to terms with it, and you've got to heal, and you've got to accept it, and you have to uh, grapple with it. So it's common. It's a common occurrence. Also, denial is very common. I hear so many stroke survivors refuse to accept it and deny that they had a stroke. And I'm not sure what's behind that, whether it's about ego or whether it's something else. Do you have a sense of what was behind the denial for you?
it was ego, Bill. It was ego, and I'm a man, and there's no way I had a stroke, and I'm not gonna say I had a stroke and stuff like that until you come to the realization that yeah. Another big part too is finding out I wouldn't be able to go back to work. That was a huge hit. And I found that out um, after my long-term disability, and my neurologist actually sent me to get a I wrote it down somewhere here. I always forget what it is called, neuropsych assessment. And when they did this neuropsych assessment, it took like 6 hours to go through the testing and stuff. And to come to find out, when I did the testing, I came out of it and came home and told my wife, I said, I aced that. That was awesome. I did really great in that. She goes, yeah. I said, yeah, I did good. Come to find out, when they gave me the results, I failed miserably. I had basically, they told me I lost my executive function. So I could not, I have a hard time problem solving, stuff like that. I get overstimulated really easy, overwhelmed, um, and things like that I didn't really acknowledge until after I was told that.
How long after the initial diagnosis did you have this neuropsych assessment?
I think my neuropsych was around a year and 3/4 in, probably after. So I probably almost 2022.
Okay. So executive function, I've just made a inquiry into ChatGPT, says that it includes your working memory, your cognitive flexibility, flexible thinking, inhibitory control, self-regulation. It helps with decision making, supports self-control in emotional and behavioral responses, enhances organization and time management, aids in multitasking and prioritizing, plays a role in self-motivation and goal setting, um, how executive function is affected by stroke. And then basically those things get challenged after the stroke for you specifically. Um, do you have troubles with organizing things, and
Yes, very much so.
are
I
you?
can actually tell you exactly what I want you to do, or exactly what needs to be done to
Yeah.
get something done. But for me to go do it, I can't do it.
Uh-huh.
It's weird. It is totally weird. I
Like
can tell you, you got to take this hammer, you got to pick this nail up, you got to swing the hammer on the nail, put the nail in the hole, stuff like that. But for me to go out and do it, I can't do it. It's weird. It's,
it's like a
I don't
task
know.
initiation thing. You can't
Yes,
initiate the task. Yeah.
initiation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that too. I don't have executive function challenges like that are common. But when I'm fatigued or tired, when I've had a massive day and there's stuff that I know needs to be done, and it could be the easiest thing, just the ability to just go and do it. Actually, it's not, but it is not there. Like it is actually physically not there. It doesn't exist. That part of me doesn't exist. So you could drag me to do it. You could make me do it. It's just not there. It doesn't exist. It's like it's never happened before. And I don't know how to comprehend what even I know. So it's like, it's even, I know what needs to be done,
Yep.
like you said, but the ability to do a task like that there's no spot for it in my brain. I've never done it before, that according to my brain, and therefore I can't get it done. Now, the next
Yep.
morning when I've recovered and had a rest, etc., then there's no thought process. But the night before, it was just, that's it, not going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how important it is. It doesn't matter how necessary, complicated, easy, basic. Just doesn't. It's not going to happen. Um,
See, like with me, I have to chunk things out.
yeah,
I have to chunk things out in little increments. Like, let's say I'm going to make soup or something. I in the morning I might chop celery and onions, and then I might go sit down, and then I'll come out and do something else, and I'll have to go sit down and just chunk everything out. And then when I'm done, I got everything all ready to go. So when it's time to make it, everything's there, and I can go ahead and make it. Everything's got to be written out for me, where I before would do everything off the top of my head. I would never use a recipe. I would never write anything down.
yeah.
Um, but it all has to get chunked out to get it done.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was management at General Motors. So I was, yeah, it was a high stressful um,
A lot of things
role
happening at
that I was
once.
in.
Have you noticed in the last few years, has there been any kind of improvement? Are you seeing some spots or some areas in the way that you operate where you can say, oh, okay, that's changed or that's improved, that's different, or that's better?
Yeah, a lot of it is like I sit down now and I analyze and, like I say, chunking things out. I analyze, I write things down, what I want to get done. So like here's my situation where um at the beginning of my journey, I would try to get way too much done. I would go way overboard. I could just try to chug through, and it would just destroy me. And I would, I'd be like done the next day because I was pushing. I'm at the point now I can do 3 things a day, 3 things that I want to get done for the next day. And that might change overnight. I might get up in the morning and go, okay, I'm not going to do those 3 things. I'll do something else. But 3 things, I know that's my limit right now.
Do
And
you have do you have days where you think I'm wiped out, nothing's getting done today, that's it, and then all of a sudden you find a little bit of a burst of energy, and then you can get things done?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I remember traveling with my wife and telling her, do not organize anything for us for tomorrow because I am wiped out. That's it. I don't want to have anything to do with anybody. I'm not going anywhere. And then I woke up in the morning and I said to her, okay, so what are we doing today? And she said, oh, I thought you weren't going anywhere today. I said, well, yesterday I definitely wasn't going anywhere. But
Yeah.
today I slept well and
Yeah.
I feel up to it. So why don't we squeeze some stuff in?
Yeah. Yeah. And my wife can just look at me and she'll say, Doug, you got to go lay down. I
Okay.
mean, she'll just look at me, just look, just a quick look, and Doug, you need to go lay down. So she knows just by looking at me that, hey, you're done. So yeah, it's
How
funny
long,
how that stuff works.
how long do
I think
your
another
naps
thing.
need to
What's that?
take?
Sorry.
How long do your naps need to take?
Usually an hour. I'll take a nap in the afternoon. So what
Uh-huh.
happens is that I'll usually have 2 meetings in the morning, like one at 10 o'clock and maybe one at 1 o'clock, and then let's say 2:30, I'll take an hour nap, and then I'll get up and go the rest of my day, right? And I usually have meetings like tonight. I got one at 8 and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like go. So usually I'm going to say I usually have at least 3 meetings a day. Um,
Uh-huh.
so that takes time, right?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It takes energy as well, like brain power, the whole works. Your snooze, is it like a proper snooze? Are you out cold? Are you just kind of resting there with your eyes closed? What type of a rest is it?
I'm normally out cold. Very rarely do I just close my eyes and just lay there. Um, I do meditation now, which I never thought I would do in my
Mhm.
lifetime. If
Well
you
done.
asked me at 1.0, I would say, "What are you talking about? I'm not going to meditate. There's
You
no way in
definitely
heck
have
I'm
changed,
meditating."
Doug. You definitely have
Yes, I
changed.
have. I have. Yeah, I do a couple of those a week. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely helps.
How does it help?
I think it calms me down. When I get overwhelmed and stuff, let's say we go to Costco or the grocery store or something like that. I can actually just kind of walk over to the side and do a breathing exercise or something just to try to calm down. What's really helped me, Bill, is I actually got into somebody actually suggested these on one of the calls. They're called loops, Loops, and they're they're like a earplug, and you use them to and it takes certain decibels out of the out yes certain decibels out of the what you're hearing, and those help a lot. So, like going to Costco or the grocery store or somewhere where I know a busy restaurant, I'll put those in, and it helps immensely.
Yeah, the good thing about the loop is it just looks like a regular earplug. and it's nothing
Yeah.
major, like what people might use to listen to music, for example, like a wireless one, but it's actually got
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. What it is it just takes out certain frequencies and you can adjust it on the side of the
Yeah.
earpiece
Yes, I
and
got the same
you
one.
can decrease the amount of noise, but you can still hear properly and have a conversation with somebody. But it takes off that, what do we call it? Extra extra feedback, extra information that your brain doesn't want to deal with
Yeah.
or cope with. Um,
Yeah.
so for people who are interested in Loop, just literally just go to loop.com, I think it is,
Yeah.
loop.com. They are called Loop earbuds. There's a few different types, and I think the most they cost is $100, and then there's um, a couple of different versions that cost less than that, and they
Less.
are, man, they are super helpful for decreasing fatigue. Mine are actually in my house, inside the house instead of in the studio. So I can't
Yeah.
show you what they look like, but
That,
definitely
that,
look into them.
yeah. The $100 ones, like the ones you have and the ones I have a three position dial on them that you can change to three different positions. So that's the
Yeah,
most expensive one, the ones we got. But yeah.
extremely helpful. I might do actually a review video. I might do a video and put it on my channel and have people discover it, come across it, whatever, because they are
It
super
helps.
helpful. Yeah. And there's such a small investment and you get a very big bang for your buck. You know, if you're somebody who's missed out on going to sporting events because they're too loud, there's too much going on, they are perfect for that. If you want to go to a concert or an opera or something like that, and you've avoided it because it's too overwhelming, they are perfect for that. I I used to kind of enjoy going to a Grand Prix, for example, the Melbourne Grand Prix here. And there's no way I could go and sit through a day at the Grand Prix now with the cars going around for hours. It would just drive me insane. It would make it painful and it would make it unenjoyable. There'd be no point being there. So I'm at that point where I could definitely put the loop earplugs in and just go down there and then enjoy my day for a
Yeah.
few hours. Something that I definitely have found myself avoiding after the stroke. I never went to the football here for many, many years because of it. And I avoided concerts and things like that. But now I'm 13 years out, Doug, so there's a bit of a difference there. I have recovered that ability to deal with some sounds in short stints. So I can go to a concert without my earplugs, for example, but it would be way better if I took them with me.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing too that I don't know, talking with you is one thing that stroke survivors need to know is that there's caregiver groups out there,
Hmm.
and caregiver groups are extremely important for your relationship. In for your caregiver to understand your stroke journey, because if you have, I'll tell you something. Going to these meetings, not I mean the stroke survivor meetings, you're talking to people that understand you completely. The whole thing. It's just like a family. You're going to
Hmm.
see 30 family members that day for an hour, right? Um, and for the caregiver, my wife's in a part of the caregiver group, and that helped her a lot because we really didn't have a, a, a big understanding of stroke and that and how it affects you. But that the caregiver group has helped her immensely.
Yeah, because she completely doesn't understand you, but she completely understands the caregivers and they completely understand her.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the
So
way it works.
so they can go there and talk about the challenges, their frustrations, their concerns, all those things. And they can have somebody go, yeah, that's normal, like we're doing. We're
Yeah,
normalizing certain things. And then that kind of takes a bit of the weight off it. It makes it feel a little lighter. And you've shared it to other people and they've given you some advice and they've clued you into things that you didn't know you needed to know about being a caregiver. And
yeah,
um, and that's the thing about uh, stroke support groups. Same thing. And because I'm also quite like you in that need to have people to talk to about. I created a podcast because the caregiver, sorry, the support groups were few and far between when I was starting to go through this, and I thought, oh well, I'll just invite people on to a show and we'll talk about it once or twice a week, every week from now on, and that's
Yeah.
my version of it.
Yeah, it's incredible that you did this, and that's one of the benefits, if you want to say it's a benefit of COVID, is that people got into
Mm.
online things. So for March of Dimes to get online and do support online was huge. SRABC out of British Columbia doing their online stuff. All these different organizations that do it. Is I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have virtual.
Yeah,
My
I think
whole
so.
recovery was virtual. I went. My reminder is that March of 2020 we shut down,
Hmm.
so my recovery was all done virtually from Parkwood Institute or Parkwood Recovery, and I had a team of seven people, and they called me, not all seven every day, but a certain amount would call me every day and talk about different things, a PT and a OT and stuff like that, nurse and it was it was kind of tough at the beginning because I didn't think I would want to be on video. I didn't think I'd want to talk to somebody at an iPad and just look at them and talk. But now I love it, and it's really it's been instrumental because I don't know what I would have done without the support of all these different channels.
It's so efficient as well, right? The one thing
Yep.
that I struggled with was finding the time to go to 3 appointments of rehab in 2015 when I had outpatient rehab after my brain surgery. Man, that was such a tough thing to do because there were 3 different appointments on 3 different days. And I had to get there. And because my wife was working and I was quite independent by then, I wasn't driving, but I was quite independent. I would have to, um, you know, get public transport, and that would take around an hour or so to get there. Then I would have an hour's session, and then I would take an hour to get back home. And then it was like, my God, there's one, and then I'm pooped at the end of it. And then there's one entire day gone just for 1 hour of rehab. And that
Yeah.
happened 3 days a week. And then it was physical rehab, so it was important that I was there. However, the other part of rehab, the other part that's important, this conversation part of it, this talking part of it, the efficiency of just being able to wake up, sit down at a chair, switch on a computer and do that, I think is just it's the most amazing thing. We live in the most amazing times. It's just brilliant that I'm talking to you in Canada and we're seeing
Yeah.
each other. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I just can't get my head around it. And and our community is uh all over the world. It is actually a community, even though we can't do the touchy feely huggy stuff face to face, because the people that follow the podcast interact with it on YouTube. They leave comments, they share, they get responses from me. We share information. We like each other's comments, or we respond to each other's comments, and it's like that's a proper community. It never existed, say, before 2012 when all of my journeys started. It just didn't exist, and I was stuck because a lot of the support groups that we went to in the beginning, that I went to, a few of them, um, people were so unwell they couldn't turn up a lot of the time. And then what do? You go to a support group and only 2 out of the 10 people turned up. It's kind of
Yeah.
not the same.
I hear you. We're London's about 490,000 people. It's the one of the number one um, stroke hospitals, the University Hospital in London, and we have for our in-person meeting once a month, second Thursday of every month, we have six or seven people that go, and out of those 6 or 7 people, I'm probably one of the oldest. Not the oldest in age, but the oldest in recovery. 5 years.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy. There's thousands of people in London that have had strokes,
Yeah.
and why aren't they involved in a lot of these, like even the in-person groups? It's just that's crazy.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Do you think a lot of people are doing it on their own or maybe have, like ego getting in the way, all that type of thing, not to attend? Or do you think it's something to do with that as well as what
Yeah.
stroke does to people?
But you think about how many people are struggling out there
Yeah.
that may have not gotten the support or the a pamphlet or something that say, this is available here, or you can get this here. Or it's I don't know. I I don't know right now, since COVID. London hasn't had the caregiver or the support that you can go in the hospital and talk to stroke survivors. So they haven't had that going yet, and they're going to get it going supposedly again. But that's what I would like to go and see, is what are the survivors getting when they leave the hospital? What kind of information are they getting?
Yeah.
I know if I got a pamphlet of information leaving the hospital, I probably wouldn't even have looked at it, to be honest with you. And it's possibly that's what they haven't done either. I don't know what they're getting.
Mm.
And
Maybe also, maybe they're suffering in silence, maybe they're
yeah,
struggling alone and they don't know. And hopefully they come across an interview like this and makes them think about the possibility of not suffering in silence and reaching out. People are always willing to help. I mean, there's so
yeah,
many people willing to help. In the hospitals in Australia, the Stroke Foundation has a goal to reach 85% of the people that turn up to hospital with stroke symptoms or their family members, reach them with a pamphlet, a booklet that says, now you've had a stroke, what's next, type of thing. And they're hoping to get to 85% of the people that are hospitalized for a stroke, but that's a big ask because
yes,
the
yeah,
reality of stroke is different for everybody. And also, they're relying on I think they're relying on part of the medical team to go grab that brochure from the cupboard and take it out and present it and explain it
yeah.
and go through it. But that is on their to-do list. They're definitely looking at how they can reach more stroke survivors and let them know about the support that exists, because they've been around for about 27 years or so, and they're trying to improve outcomes. And that's one of the ways they figure if we can start at the very beginning of the journey, that'd be a lot easier.
Now in Australia, do you guys have a March of Dimes? Is March of Dimes prevalent in Australia, or do they have a
Not
program, or is there a program in Australia that would be like a program like March of Dimes, like we have? They have a lot of different supports for stroke survivors.
No, there isn't at all. The
Oh,
only
wow.
organization is the Stroke Foundation, and they have some programs, they have some support, but there's a lot of local support, non-profits that help where they can,
Yeah,
and they're fragmented. They're all over the place. But I think what's good about them being fragmented is that they serve the need where the need is. And although the Stroke Foundation has reach in most of Australia, it's still not fully funded. It's not funded enough to be able to provide services. It relies on donations and also
right.
some government funding, and government funding has been decreasing, especially since COVID and all that stuff that we
Yeah,
went through.
fair enough.
Yeah, so it's quite a challenge. Now, March of Dimes uh, has so many, by the looks of things, so many different aspects to it. Is it? Tell me a little bit about it. What is it long? What is it like?
Well, for the stroke aspect of it, March of Dimes started years and years ago for polio.
Uh huh.
Um, and I don't know when exactly they got into the stroke support, but they have all kinds of different, like I say, they have aphasia groups for aphasia. They
Mhm.
have musical group things. They got meditations. They have exercise, chair exercise, and stuff like that. Um, there's a multitude of things that they have that they endorse to try to get people involved in and to try to help them recover.
Yeah.
They're very good.
The stroke uh, March of Dimes page is afterstroke.ca for Canada.
Yeah,
And it's got resources, get involved, volunteer with us, get support groups, online programs, and then refer allows healthcare providers to refer a patient to that organization for support. So it sounds like it's got quite a good level of support for stroke survivors, which is really cool. It's basically what Stroke Foundation does, but it is not part of a larger organization. Uh, it is
okay.
just specifically tailored for stroke survivors. It started off as a stroke support group.
I was going to say that a lot of people, and this is what I got out of like these programs too, is that um, it's kind of funny because you'll talk to people and people like with aphasia and stuff. Like I have aphasia, but I don't really have the speaking part of it. I have the word finding and stuff like that aspect of it.
Uh-huh.
But you'll hear people on these calls, and they're talking, and like let's say 6 7 months later, you'll say, "Man, you're talking great," and they'll go, "No, no, I'm not," and they don't see it. They don't see it. So what you need to do is what needs to be done is if you have a deficit and you don't like anything, it doesn't matter what it is. Even the minute little improvement is an improvement. But have a loved one or a caregiver or somebody in your family videotape you, and just videotape you for maybe a minute or two, and then maybe 3 months later down the road, videotape you again, and have you see them both. You may see a change, you may not see a change, but I'm going to almost guarantee you're going to see something that's changed. So you can keep doing that and see your progress, and that is a real eye opener for a lot of people.
It helps to demonstrate improvement and make you
Yep,
feel like you're actually on the path to recovery and you're improving and things are getting better. That's
yep,
really important to know that things are improving. And we're so hard on ourselves. Most people are really hard on themselves. And as a stroke survivor, you need to give yourself a little bit more grace. It doesn't need to be so much perfection and going after immaculate kind of sentences and all that type of stuff. It's not coming. It's not coming. As long as it's improving and you can see that, that will give you a little bit of a boost and make you feel a little better about uh,
yeah.
how things are progressing. I love that. That is a great comment. I'm curious, do you, are all the support groups that you attend and those things, are they your counseling? Is that kind of, do you go and see a counselor? Have you seen a counselor about any of this stuff? Or have you kind of used the support groups to play that role or to take over from there?
Yeah, I've never seen a therapist or anything like that. The support groups are my therapy.
Yeah.
They're they're my therapy. I learned the most out of those groups. That I and it's almost like every session you learn something. It either you learn something about the person that's talking, or you learn something about the stroke journey that you never knew about before. And yeah, it's that's I use it as I use that as my therapy, I believe, and I try
Yeah.
to help other people out too. Right? I mean, we have people, Bill. We have people that are in those meetings that are 30-year stroke survivors, and I'm just like 30-year stroke survivor. And you're still coming to these meetings. Well, let's say they didn't start till 2020,
Yeah.
but they're coming to these meetings, and it's like 30 years in, and you're coming to these meetings. And it's just it blows. It just yeah. It just it. I just go wow.
Stroke's a gift that keeps on giving, though, Doug. Like
Yeah.
it never leaves you. Once it's come and it's done its thing,
Yep.
it never goes away. You don't wake up in the morning one day and oh, my leg's back or everything's back. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It improves and it changes. And what I'm finding is in the last sort of 6 months, my deficits on my left side have changed, and they're what you know what they are is they're more noticeable now. Not that I wasn't noticing them or paying attention to them before. They're playing up a little more often, and they're letting me know. Your leg is not right, your arm is not right, your muscles are tight. It's doing it more often. Your shoulder is a little bit not right, but it never entered my mind as often as it does these days. And I'm not overthinking it. Like it physically needs more rehab. So I'll go and get a massage more often than I used to because I need some help to release it all along my back and down my left side and my chest and all that kind of stuff. It's all over the place. And and it hasn't been. So that's the thing about stroke. Like it bugs you. It can bug you all the time. And it's like, okay, you need to deal with it. If you don't expel that energy or comprehend it or find another way or focus on something else, like it can get you down. So I think it's really important that people seek out ongoing support of some sort and from people who are equipped to help you. Bitching and moaning to family member who doesn't really care or can't support you or doesn't know how to is
Yeah.
probably not the right way to go about it. It's best
Yeah.
that you talk to those people about the things that they can handle, and then you're chatting to um, somebody else that understands you and what you're going through for the stroke stuff. Um, how else do you occupy your time? Were you into sports and any of that type of thing? Did you do anything physical that you're not doing anymore?
Watching sports, I did a lot of that.
Uh-huh.
I love watching sports. I do a lot of smoking. I smoke meats, so barbecue and stuff like that. And since the stroke, I've taken up sour bread dough making. So made my own starter, all that stuff. So that goes on a little bit. Um, and with my dominant left hand not being able to write, when I found that out 2 years in, um, my wife and I actually went and found, and on one of these call, was brought to my attention that like go to the dollar store and grab some like three-year old or like third grade writing books and trace the letters and do stuff like that
I
and
love
get
it.
a like adult coloring book and color and try to stay in between the lines. That helped really a lot with the fine motor skills, and I can somewhat write now that it doesn't look like a doctor's signature or a doctor's writing. I can, because before I could write notes and the next day go look at it and go, what the hell was that? I wouldn't know. I would not know what was there. And I was definitely saying something, but I don't know what it was.
Can you type on the keyboard with your left hand? Does that work?
Yeah, no, I can type and everything like that. It's just weird. It's just the writing part of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
it's part of the
typing's fine.
aphasia.
Typing's fine.
Could
But
be part.
most of the things I do with is on the iPad, right? So it's just on a, it's not like a typing on
Uh,
a keyboard of a computer. So
would
basically, it's
the
finger pointing.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, single finger. Okay. Would the writing be a part of the aphasia?
I'm not positive, Bill, how that works and how that comes about. It could be. Um, I just chalk it up to being part of the stroke that took like a little bit of fine motor skills away from my dominant hand. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, but you found that there's been an improvement in that space as well.
Yeah, there's been improvement. Like at the beginning, the first couple of years, I would really like eating in that. My hand would shake and stuff like that, almost like I had Parkinson's disease or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But that's all went away pretty much now, and yeah, so I don't know.
And what about the weather? I know Canada can be cold.
Yeah, it's
Has
a
that
little
impacted you
snowy here.
differently? A little,
No, I
yeah.
don't think I don't think so. Yeah, okay, yes, it has. Um, I could wear shorts all year long, and I get cold now easier, a lot easier since the stroke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I get cold a lot easier now. So that's the one thing that I notice is the cold.
You can wear you could wear shorts all year round. So even in Canada, when you're going about your business, you could.
I would snow blow in shorts, Bill.
Oh man,
Neighbors would laugh. They had fun with it. But yeah,
yeah,
I would snow blow with shorts on.
yeah, that's insane. I can't deal with the cold, and the cold bothers me so much more than it used to, and it used to bother me a lot. I just never liked it, and I always love summer. And people in summer, we get 100, more than 100 degrees, days on a regular basis here. You know, 40 degrees, 38 degrees Celsius, 36 degrees Celsius. And everyone else around me is just not coping. And I'm like, bring it on. Like, the hotter, the better. As long as I get some sleep at night, I don't mind how hot it is. Of course, I don't mind the relief of coming inside to an air conditioned room
Yeah,
every so often. I do, but it doesn't get me down like winter gets me down. I even these days, since the stroke, I get those winter blues that people talk about. When there's not enough sun in the sky, when there's not enough hours of daylight, and
yeah,
you're probably lacking. I'm not sure all the things that the sun allows you to experience, and I really get blue, and it just makes me feel more blue than ever before. And I've
yeah.
noticed the pattern, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. And during COVID, I think I had like lots of reasons to feel that way, but during COVID, Melbourne lockdowns, we were in lockdown for, oh man, the best part of 2.5 years. We, um, so I was a really difficult person to be around in winter, and I couldn't wait for those sunny days. I'd just go out, spend all day outside, and
Yeah.
then waited for the shortest day of the year to come around and be done with it. The winter solstice, and then just be going, oh man, we had 2 extra minutes of sun
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
And counting, like, I'm finding myself doing weird stuff like that. And now I'm noticing we're in the last month of summer,
Yeah.
and I'm noticing that the nightfall used to be at around 9 p.m. and now it's got down to about 20 past 8. And now it's starting to shrink. And at the end of next month, daylight savings is going to kick in. So we're going to lose an hour of daylight. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm going to be putting the blinds down at night in the house. I'm going to be putting them down at 7 o'clock in a month.
In 2 weeks, we go daylight savings time. So
Yeah.
it's gonna get lighter at night. So that's gonna be good. It's so weird. Like Bill's in the future right now. I'm talking in the future because yeah. Bill's in Friday now, right? I'm just talking. My wife's in here too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be good.
They're the things that occupy my time. I didn't realize how important it is to me until after the stroke, and how much the weather, the temperature, the time, the daylight, how it all does actually impact me. And I need to be
Yeah.
aware of it, especially in winter when I get a little bit down, a little bit blue. So, what is the family situation like? How many of you in the house? Who else went along this journey with you other than your wife?
Just me and my wife Tracy. She's sitting here. Just us. We have no kids. Um, been married for 10 years. Um, yeah, that's just been us. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. And then when I had my stroke, basically she was told that they came to work from home then, and they never went back. So she's been working from home now for the whole time. So that was good too, to have somebody in the house and that I
That's
think that
helpful.
really helped a lot too.
Yeah, so you kind of had a bit of a, well, like a really good run afterwards. Things seemed to line up really well for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're lucky. Yeah,
That's a blessing.
24/7.
Yeah, that's a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you? Are you a spiritual, religious man? Did you have any of those types of journeys, or did you contemplate that where you've never contemplated it before?
Actually, no, I have not. Um, it's kind of funny because I do think about it at times. There's when I was a young kid, I was altar boy and all that stuff in Episcopal church and things like that. And I did that I think until I was a sophomore in high school. So probably from grade 5 till I was a sophomore in high school. So I'd go with my mom, and it was just basically me and my mom. My brother and my sister really didn't go very often, and we go to church and do that kind of stuff. But no, I didn't. I never really got into that aspect of it again.
Did you have any type of existential crisis or anything like that when you finally, at 57, well, just after 57, accepted that you went through this thing? Did you contemplate mortality or any of those things?
No, not really. Because I think with myself, Bill, is that um, I know why I had the stroke. Supposedly,
Yeah.
the hole in the heart. So they plugged the hole, and supposedly that's going to take care of everything. I can have a stroke any other way. I can still have a stroke. I
Yeah.
know that I can still have a stroke, but I could say, okay, it's not my fault. The stroke wasn't my fault.
There's no why me.
It was a hole in my heart that allowed the thoughts to get in my brain. It wasn't something that I did to myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got through that, I think.
Yeah. You seem like a no nonsense, mild mannered kind of guy, just goes about business. Sound like you're a problem solver, look for solutions rather than focus on the problems.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
It seems to be
for
holding
sure.
you in good stead. It definitely seems to be holding you in good stead. And that's great, that you've been able to uh, find support that you need. You've been able to resolve the cause of the stroke, which is great. You've been able to find a way to go about business now at home and elsewhere, and that you're noticing that things are improving. Your analogy is pretty profound. The fact that, you spoke about that piece of paper, crinkled it up, and then you open it up and it's still the same piece of paper, but it just looks different, and the crinkles kind of never go. That's a really good way to kind of analyze your situation and accept the changes that have occurred, and maybe mm, mm, and it seems like these changes are a little bit more profound perhaps than any other changes that you've gone through in your life. And have you had like this type of a contemplative opportunity on any other changes that you've been through in your life up until the age of 57? Did you sort of sit and ponder anything like you have in this situation?
No, I didn't. I never did. No, no. This was a really, and like I said, finding the new me, and it's just like I cannot understand what you guys are even talking about. But when I got it into the 1.0, 2.0, that really put it in. That threw it in my face that okay, this is what's going on. And like you say, the analogy with when you have that paper folded out with all the wrinkles and all that stuff in it, that really um, that really works well with groups and stuff like that because they can see it and they can feel it and stuff like that. So it's kind of profound on how it affects different people.
The Doug Mitchell paper analogy. I'm going to definitely refer back to that one often, I think, because it it
Embracing
says,
2.0.
yeah, it says so much in such a quick, succinct, and precise way. both visually and audibly, it just says so much, and it really makes sense. It does describe me to an extent as well. And yeah, I love the idea of being able to share that with people and bridging that gap really effectively and quickly, uh, and then allowing that person to just actually have a physical representation of that by taking that paper with them if they choose to, and then using that to explain it to other people as well, so that
Yeah.
other people know what happened, that something has happened. Does it give you a greater insight into what other people are facing? Were you oblivious to other people's perils like I was before stroke? Or were you kind of, oh, okay, I see what it was like for some other people that I'd come across in the past?
Before stroke, no, I wouldn't even thought anything until after I had the stroke, and then I could see the what it's done, and how people are handling it, and things like that. It really you really have a different aspect on life after you've had a stroke. Number one, you lived. That's number one. You lived. Okay, there's so many people out there that die and have a stroke and die.
Yep.
So you lived. So that's one good thing. And the other ones are that you can improve. It's a pretty simple situation that you can go out there and improve and be Doug 2.0 and be a very well-rounded Doug 2.0. You just gotta have the faith, I guess, the faith to accept. Right? You gotta accept. You can't be in denial. I'll tell you that.
I love the fact that you said faith. I mean, it's still applicable, that word. It's not always needs doesn't always need to be associated with religion and religious faith, but as a concept, faith is, um, I think, is bigger than religion or religious faith, because we all have faith whether we're religious or not, and you have faith driving down the road that the guy's going to stay on the side of the road that he needs to stay on, right? If you didn't, you couldn't go anywhere. You have faith that you're going to walk out of your house and somebody's not going to come out and just attack you. I know it happens from time to time, but the majority of the time you need to have faith in something. The religious faith is also an extension of that, I believe, and perhaps came after um, just generalized faith. I'm thinking back in the day when perhaps Neanderthals existed and there was no religion. They even may not have known about the word faith and understood it the way that we understand it, but they also practiced faith. They woke up in the morning and they took their tools and they went to source food and bring it back for their family, and they had faith that they would be able to carry out those tasks. So yeah, it's a good word, and it doesn't necessarily have to be
Yeah.
um, religious faith. Although some people find religious faith really helpful after an existential crisis like a stroke, which,
Yeah.
man, I totally get. Like, no problem at all. Um, what's been the hardest thing about stroke for you, though?
One of the hardest things was not being able to go back to work. That was huge. That was huge. And that was, it was like hitting your head against a brick wall when they came back after that assessment and said that I failed it miserably and that I lost my executive function. So then going through and listening to what you said about executive function through AI, everything that you said is my deficits. Everything. It's just my wife sitting over there going, yes, yes, yes. And yeah, it's those are my deficits. And I guess I don't know. I guess uh losing that, the working aspect of life, and then trying to figure out what you're going to do to try to fill your days up and stuff like that. So mine is basically support groups and helping other people get better, and try to support those as much as I can. And yeah, and I enjoy doing that.
That's good work.
Yeah, it is.
That fills the gap really well. Um, what has stroke taught you?
It's taught me to be kind to myself. And it's taught me um, that I can accept to do different things like meditation and different things like that that I would have never ever thought of doing. Thought of, and even writing, getting in that writing course and doing the writing. I would never ever think about that. I would never have thought that Doug would be a writer. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's just stuff that you didn't think you'd enjoy, but you enjoy it. So yeah, there's things that can happen that can be different for sure.
You're so stereotypical. I mean, you're exactly like the majority of the blokes that I've spoken to that go through stroke and realize, ah, you can meditate. It's not a sissy sport, to meditate. It's okay. And that
Yeah,
was me. That was me. Podcast, meditation, not smoking or drinking anymore, um, writing a book, uh, all these weird things that the before 37-year-old Bill, that didn't even cross my path. They weren't even like a blip in the radar. There was no chance that I was going to be doing any of those stuff. Frowned
yeah,
upon that stuff. Um, like I wasn't terrible at towards other people about it, but kind of thought that would be strange and weird and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea why I even thought those things. And then all of a sudden, everything was a possibility for me. And it's
yeah,
like, how is all this stuff a possibility now, but it wasn't before?
yeah, for sure.
Um, but it's done the same thing for me. It's allowed me to kind of just go, okay, there's more to the world than just the same stuff you've done for the last 20 years solid.
Yeah.
You can do something else, experience something different. What would you like to say to people who are listening and watching uh, that are just starting their journey, perhaps, or like you said, have also been through 30 years of stroke recovery and just coming across the first podcast, for example, maybe?
Um, I would, I would say try to join a group if you could, and try to put yourself, um, be kind to yourself for one. Number two, work hard at getting better on different aspects of your deficiencies and stuff like that. Um, it's kind of it's kind of sad that like yourselves in Australia and I don't know the UK and all these other different places that are going to be watching this don't have the support groups that we do. It really it kind of hurts me to hear that you guys don't have that um, support. But yeah, just number one, don't be in denial. Number two, know that you can improve. Number three, there's all kinds of stuff out there in the world that you can do now that you can grab a hold of and take the bull by the horns and go after it. Right? There's no ending of what you can do. So and like I say, Bill and I are proof of that. And and check out Embracing 2.0 and hopefully that will help you realize that yeah there's a good life out there to be had.
Yeah. On that note, Doug, thank you so much for reaching out and joining me on the podcast.
I appreciate it, Bill. Thanks for your time.
Well, that wraps up an incredible, moving episode with Doug Mitchell. His story is a powerful reminder that not all stroke challenges are visible and that executive function loss can change everything about how we move through the world. Doug's willingness to talk about the hard stuff, denial, overwhelm, cognitive struggles, and identity loss make this episode especially meaningful. And his message about embracing change, being kind to yourself, and finding community through support groups is something I hope resonates with you as much as it did with me. If you want to revisit Doug's crumpled paper analogy to learn more about his project Embracing 2.0, you'll find links in the show notes. Before we go, I want to remind you once more about my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened. If Doug's story hit home for you, there's more like it in the book. Stories about growth, resilience, and rediscovering purpose after stroke. You can find it on Amazon or at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. And I want to leave you with this. Just recently, someone left a comment on YouTube saying they were listening to this podcast from their hospital bed, having just been diagnosed with a stroke. That hit me really hard. It's a powerful reminder of why we do this, why these stories matter, and how important it is to feel supported and understood, not alone, especially at the beginning of such a life-changing journey. If today's episode inspired you, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Spotify or iTunes, or liking and commenting if you're watching on YouTube. Your engagement helps this content reach more people. People like that stroke survivor in the hospital bed who just needed to hear that there's hope on the other side. Thank you again for being here. I'll catch you in the next episode.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamis. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.